Hi, so this video is about spasm of the near reflex, and it's going to be a review of a YouTube video I found, which I thought was really quite useful. There was a lot of informative and useful stuff in it. So here's the search in YouTube. I just looked for accommodative spasm, and it is this video here with Dr Premnandhini Satgunan. I hope I've said that right. So she deals mainly with how it affects children in this. So there's a very good explanation of what it is, and also techniques for dealing with it. And as I said, her focus is particularly on children who have this problem. And what is interesting is that there can be like 9-10 diopters difference, in very young children between a spasm of the near reflex and their actual eyesight when they're relaxed. So I mean, I go between some 4.5 diopters. Like, that is nothing compared to how much it can be. And it does bear out the other video that I've made about an article about high hyperopia. We're talking about 5 diopters difference in children. So there can be a lot of suppressed hyperopia in children by the looks of it. So the first thing she comments on is that this is often seen as malingering or attention-seeking behaviour in children, and she comes straight out and says, well, there is obviously something physical going on, so we need to try and fix it, because whatever's going on, whether there is or isn't an emotional problem, these children have a genuine problem with their eyesight, with their eye function, and we should work to try and make them more comfortable. So I think that is a great approach. Now, she mentions one of the techniques that she uses is actually the same technique that people use for latent hyperopia. And I've done a video about latent hyperopia as well. And the interesting thing she says about latent hyperopia is that when the cycloplegia test is done, and that usually, not in every case, but usually it does, in the vast majority of cases, it does give the full, the eyes are fully relaxed, and it does give the full plus that a hyperopic person would have. But in reality, someone who is diagnosed later with hyperopia may only be able to accept a smaller plus on their glasses because everything will look blurry. But interesting, she says it's better to try and get them to take the full plus straight away or as soon as possible, because if not, you can run into problems with a spasm of the near reflex, which then is much more difficult. It takes much more work to relax the eyes and, you know, get them working properly. So that was interesting. So she talks about a fogging technique by the name of the person is Boorish, and I think he invented this, he came up with this technique in about the 1940s. So it means using a flipper, and a flipper, it's kind of got two sets of lenses. So you've got a stick, so you got your stick there, you got a lens this side with say, I don't know, 25 plus 0.25, and a lens there with perhaps minus 0.25. And then what you're doing is you're putting them over your own eyes or on top of glasses, and you're flipping them. So what she does is she has a child read from a book, and she turns the flipper as they're reading. And the idea is, because the eyes have gone into spasm, it's to try and alternate between near and far while they're reading. And that makes sense because the spasm is occurring here. So while you're doing the near task, this is where you need to work on despasming the eyes. And this is a technique that is used, as I said, for people with latent hyperopia, to try and get them fully relaxed so they will accept their full prescription. But she's taken this to use with children with accommodative, with the spasm of the near reflex. So I'm going to see if I can try something like that myself. She also talks about using Cycloplegia to relax the eyes. So that's a small amount of cycloplegic agent, which obviously the patient sort of wears, puts in their eyes like every day, just to try and keep them relaxed a bit. That's another thing. Now she also talks about the problems with eye tests. And this is interesting because I've done a video on an eye test that I had about a year ago. And this was with a specialist, and I talk all about the problems with that, and particularly what happened with the autorefractor. And what does she say? You know, the autorefractor can induce pseudomyopia. She actually uses the word pseudomyopia. That's the first time I've heard any eye professional use that word. So you know, obviously I kind of like that. But she says, if you're going to, you know, give someone an eye test to, you know, tests for their visual acuity, you need to start with fogging. So the fogging technique, that's the old-fashioned way of doing it, you know, where they put a sort of spectacle on you and put glasses, some lenses in it, and you read the letters off the chart. So it's called fogging because they put really, I mean, they put about a +6 It's usually a +6, so you should be able to see nothing through it, and then they gradually reduce, they bring it down gradually. So your eyes are not actually under any stress while you're doing that. And she says if you're going to use the autorefractor, you need to do it after the fogging test. So I think the order she does it is the fogging, then the cycloplegia. But I think she, if I remember, she uses fogging and then cycloplegia to find the full extent of, you know, either the lowest minus they will take or the strongest plus they will take. And she says it's, you know, using the autorefractor before using the fogging technique is a mistake, because it induces this pseudomyopia, and especially if the eyes go into spasm. So at the fogging test, obviously your eyes have gone into spasm, and it looks like you have myopia, and you'd be taking a minus prescription, so it can give a false reading. And in that video I detailed, well, that's what happened to me, because it took 2 diopters off my previous prescription, and that was a test. It was done with the autorefractor, followed by cycloplegia, which didn't relax my eyes because I'd just been on the autorefractor, and then the fogging technique, and it looked like I was short-sighted when I wasn't. And she also says here that with this spasm of the near reflex, she actually talks about the myopia epidemic, particularly in Asian children, and how it's induced by near work. And, you know, again, you don't often hear eye professionals mentioning this, so this is really good. And, you know, this is a professional lady. She is a practicing eye professional. You know, she gives lectures, so she's mainstream, this lady. But she says the eye naturally becomes myopic. I haven't put that too well, but when you're looking at something close, the eye's natural reaction in order to make that effort is to default to, oh, I need to be a little bit more myopic in order to be able to do this. So under those conditions, that is kind of something the eye naturally does. So the idea of plus lens prevention is actually quite a good one when you think the eye is naturally doing this, because with the end myopia movement, we're finding a lot of people are reducing, you know, their need for minus lenses by reducing the amount of close work, reducing the power on their lenses. So that kind of all bears out what she is saying about the eye. You know, if you put it in under those conditions where you need to read a lot, it will seek to become more myopic in order to, because that is the stimulus it's being given. Okay, and then there's a question and answer session towards the end. What I particularly like about this is, you know, that there are people putting up their hands and saying, but you know, these children need emotional and psychiatric help, and there's you know, psychological problems here, and she agrees with them, and I think that is a really wise move. When I say she agrees with them, what I mean is that she says, you know, counselling is very important, but first and foremost, there is a problem going on with the eye, so it really is important to see to that, and you know, then you can work hand in hand with the counsellors. So she's not. I like that she's bringing, because it is mainstream opinion that this is a psychological condition. So I like that she's working with the mainstream opinion, bringing it on board, being inclusive of it. So, you know, when she could be saying, oh, that's rubbish, which in my opinion it is, but she's not alienating these people, or, you know, these views. So yeah, that was the video. Again, it's a Dr Premnandhini Satgunan, accommodative spasm. I would definitely advise you to watch this video. I've watched it a couple of times. I'll probably watch it a few more times because there is so much good stuff in it. Please like and subscribe, and hope to see you in my next video.